Hey, what's up guys, Riff here. So it must be a day that ends in Y because we're going to be covering yet another L that Ubisoft is taking. This time they're putting to rest yet another game due to low player involvement. Let's just be honest, the year 2024 has not been it for Ubisoft. You can look at their stock over the past 6 months. It has been steadily decreasing to nightmarishly low numbers. You can see this big crash off here, leading to an all-time low in October, getting a little breath of life in November just to come crashing down again in December. And the latest set of news involving Ubisoft is definitely not helping that situation, and that comes from the game XDefiant. This was another big AAA release for Ubisoft earlier this year, one that kind of gets lost in the shuffle here because everyone's talking about the other major flops like Skull and Bones, Star Wars Outlaws, as well as the whole set of issues involving Assassin's Creed Shadows. But XDefiant kind of got swept under the rug, and this was a game, a first-person shooter that was supposed to be a game changer, something really innovative. However, it is falling apart right before everyone's eyes. Although that did not stop the glazing from games journalists earlier this year when this game released. They were hyping this up like one of the most successful launches ever, achieving 1 million unique players in the first 24 hours and also getting a large player count and apparently being the fastest to hit these numbers in Ubisoft history. However, if you actually give it a little bit of thought, you would realize this is a free-to-play game that relies on Battle Pass and also in-game cosmetics. So these numbers are very inflated in terms of participation because there was nothing to invest into the game to give it a try. But also in the first quarter report from Ubisoft that they released in July, the first quarter covering April, May, and June for Ubisoft, they were praising their numbers, showing off to investors that they had a very good start to the year, and the quarter notably saw the launch of XDefiant that was off to an encouraging start. Unfortunately, that won't go over very well, but this is a very interesting read here from this first quarter report where you have the co-founder of Ubisoft saying in a selective market, we delivered a solid start to the year. So that's very much copium. If a company comes out and says, we had a good start to the year, we're solid, that means things are not solid, okay? It's in their interest to hype up any bit of success they have, and if they're doing above average, they're going to let you know. So saying like, yeah, we're just doing solid, that should have been red flags all over the place. But you can see actually interesting too, that they note that the launch dates for Star Wars Outlaws, which did come out this year, and Assassin's Creed Shadows was targeted for 2024 and 2025. So back in July, they were already hinting that Assassin's Creed Shadows might be delayed until 2025. So that's just an interesting little note there. But, of course, some of the optimism surrounding this game would start to go away because the player numbers started to very quickly dwindle. And an insider back about a month ago was saying that basically they were struggling to even get 20,000 concurrent players. And if they achieved that number, they would have been happy. Like, they weren't even close to 20,000, and that would have been already a bit of a disappointment, again, because this is a free-to-play game, so they really need some big numbers to keep this going. And eventually, that low player involvement, those low concurrent player counts, would lead to some rumors and some insiders sharing info about XDefiant. We have this tweet from Modern Warzone here that would cause a lot of controversy. This was posted, I believe, on October 15th of this year. And it said, Ubisoft shooter XDefiant is reportedly shutting down after Season 4 if player counts don't increase. And this report comes from Just for Leaks 2, who said multiple sources have repeated the same information to him. Now, this post would get a lot of attention, and we also get a community note. It was hit with this note saying, this is incorrect. The executive producer has confirmed these claims are false. So back in October, we had the executive producer of this game make this tweet in response to those rumors leaking, saying, to be crystal clear, there are no plans to shut down after Season 4. I've literally been in meetings as of last week to discuss our Year 2 plans, but right now we are super focused on improving the technical experience and adding more content for Seasons 3 and 4. Now, of course, you know where this video is going. The new report from 2 days ago, Ubisoft officially shutting down XDefiant after barely 6 months. Yeah, life comes at you fast. This was not too surprising to see happen. And now we have the executive producer here, about 2 months later, with his tail between his legs, completely flipping the script on what he had previously said and coming out and saying, "Hello, XDefiant fans. I am unfortunately here today to announce that XDefiant will be shutting down. Starting today, new downloads and player registrations will no longer be available. We will still release our Season 3 content in the near future, exact date to be announced, or to be determined, and the servers will remain active until June 3rd of 2025. So technically, he didn't lie back in October when he said it would shut down. It wouldn't shut down after Season 4 because, well, it's shutting down after Season 3. Brutal stuff, but unfortunately, nobody really feels too sorry for anything involving Ubisoft, and that's maybe not the fault of XDefiant. That is much more the fault of the teams over at Star Wars Outlaws and Assassin's Creed Shadows that are generating so much negative PR for the company. But throughout all of this statement, it's pretty lengthy, but he also talks about how this was like a real daring endeavor for them, especially being free to play, and it needed some legs to really establish itself. But also, he says pretty much that this was kind of a experimental type game where they're really getting some community involvement and reflection. And they say right here, honest communication between developers and players. This player-first mentality, along with respectful, non-toxic conversations between developers and players, has been one of the standout differences that made XDefiant so special. So the problem with Ubisoft is you can't really trust anything they say, and this guy might be completely honest that there was a lot of involvement and a lot of conversations with players, but Ubisoft has completely tainted the water where you can't really trust anything they're saying, because we hear this stuff from like the team at Assassin's Creed Shadows that clearly is not listening. There's also rumors that internally they just don't invite any criticism whatsoever, and they do not care what players think about some of their decisions. So it makes things like this be casted in doubt. But again, I didn't play XDefiant. I don't know if any of you have. If you have, feel free to share your experience with the game itself, the community, some of the moderators and the teams working with players. Maybe you have some good experiences. I'm not really sure. The reaction to these posts are very, very mixed. By the way, some people are completely heartbroken. Other people are doing /S to spit. Okay, like they just do not care. They don't feel bad for any Ubisoft project falling apart. But in a very strange act of goodwill, I am shocked that XDefiant will actually be doing some refunds. So for those who purchase the Ultimate Founders Pack, you will receive a full refund. Players who made any purchases within the last 30 days will also be fully refunded. So that's actually pretty surprising. That is one of the very rare Ubisoft W's right here. I guess, I mean, this should be like the standard, but at least they did it, right? But to me, if they're willing to do stuff like that, I feel like they're just packing it up. It's kind of a Concord situation where, yeah, they made $1 million in sales, but they refunded everyone because what do they want to do? Lose an extra $1 million on already losing hundreds of million? Like, what's that $1 million actually do for the company? It's more of a act of goodwill and a inviting message to players, and something that they might actually take away as a good thing the company did. And I think that's what they're doing with XDefiant. I don't think holding on to those purchases is going to help them in any sort of a significant way when they're losing hundreds of millions of dollars across multiple games at this point. Ubisoft is just trying to preserve something out of this L, and apparently things are getting even worse. So this is even beyond just XDefiant. So you have a reporter here who claims that Ubisoft is losing a lot of its employees. They're ramping down, specifically their Sydney team, up to 177 people laid off, and half of the XDefiant team is moving on to other projects. And Ubisoft had hoped the game would compete with Call of Duty. Oh my lord, copium. But then they end here saying, correction/update. The cuts in terms of employees is expected to be closer to 277, not 177, in the Ubisoft San Francisco production studio closing. Ubisoft San Francisco business office is remaining open. Yeah, again, more L's for Ubisoft here. Again, this isn't going to look any better for the coming months. And again, the gem, the supposed star of the show for Ubisoft, Assassin's Creed Shadows, is coming out in February. They are putting a lot onto that game, and it's likely going to flop, and it's going to be a spectacle to see in February. But just look at the history of Ubisoft and their stock. Look how bad things have gotten since, let's see here, this is like mid 2018. Look how things have fallen. This is just brutal. They're falling back to their early days in terms of the stock price. It's brutal, and like I said, this is the calm before the storm. It's only going to get worse from here, but for now, that's going to do it for this video. As always, feel free to share your thoughts about today's topics in the comments section down below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time.